There is no art in Sweden, at least none of the art I was looking for in the museums. Instead, Sweden showed me that real Swedish art is not in the museums, it's outside, in the fields, in the forests, on the houses, and on a plate. But hear me out, I'll give you the context. My partner and I, we went to Sweden for a week and we rented a car and we drove from Stockholm to West Coast and back. And what we've seen was Swedish landscapes, basically, and roads and fields and forests and houses and churches and buildings and everything. And, there's something interesting about the Swedish landscape because it repeats a lot. And at some point, it becomes some kind of meditation. And I'm not going to talk about the inspiration because I was not looking for one. And actually, inspiration is a totally different topic I want to cover in another video because the question is, why are we looking for inspiration? No, I wanted to share with you my impressions and I wanted to tell you, and I wanted to share with you what a painter sees when a painter is not looking for an inspiration. And actually, my strongest impression was Swedish red. And yes, and this Swedish red, it's a color. This Swedish red showed me actually where real Swedish art lives. I didn't expect it. My first impression was Swedish red. Well, I call it Swedish red. Actually, the official name is Falu Red, and I hope I pronounce it correct this time. Anyway, when you drive through Sweden, you would see all those, almost every building, barns, houses, churches, everything is, well, not everything, but most of it is covered with this beautiful red. And, I want to say rosso, red, but it's not red. It's much stronger and deeper and more, more earthier. It's almost like raw sienna. No, not raw sienna. It's almost like sienna bruciata, which is burnt sienna in English, but it's also not burnt sienna. And it's actually when I read about this color, what is it? Why Sweden uses this color so much? It's actually copper and iron and ochre, everything, cooked by the earth itself. And the strangest thing to me is that centuries after centuries, Swedes still use that color to cover their houses. Such a beautiful commitment, I should say. And it looks beautiful too. And, every time I would see a red spot on a yellow field or in a green forest or with a blue sky, I would go, oh, Swedish red, I love Swedish red. Let's take a photo. And people would look at me like I'm a bit, crazy. But I didn't really care because I was so really excited to see it. And I knew that Sweden would have these red houses. And I just didn't expect that color to make such an impression on me. I think that was the strongest impression that I had in Sweden. My next impression was I went to the National Museum. Of course, I'm a tourist. I'm allowed to go to museums, and actually, I go to museums not only when I'm a tourist. Yeah, but anyway, I went to this national museums, and as I told you, I was looking for Anders Zorn's painting Midsummer Dance, and I didn't find it. It was not there. They removed it. No explanations. They didn't tell me. They didn't tell nobody. And I talked to a guard in that museum, and that guard told me that, yeah, they removed it. I'm too late. And they might put it on display in a couple of months or a couple of years. I couldn't understand that. But I found 3 other paintings by Zorn. It was the first time I was seeing his paintings, actually, in real life. And every time I would come across Zorn's painting online, I would be very surprised to know that he would use only 4 colors. And we all know his Zorn palette, and it's one thing to know about the palette and another thing to try using it, but a totally different thing when you actually see an artwork by Zorn created with a Zorn palette. When I talk about this right now, I have goosebumps, really. It was such a, I spent half an hour just, looking at these paintings from every angle. It was just such a strangely beautiful experience, I should say. Well, so the museum didn't show me the Midsummer Dance, but I think, I don't know if I'm there yet to use his palette to create masterpieces like like he did. Maybe I should try. I never liked his palette actually, but yeah, as I said, when you see his paintings, it's just, and they are so, I don't know how should I explain it. They're very earthy and they're very, very sophisticated. I don't know, there is some kind of, they're so intelligent and so elegant and so, I wish I could paint like him, but I'm not him. I will try. I promise, I will try. Oh, and I forgot to say something. I think this something is, to me, it's very important because while I was in Sweden the whole week, 7 whole days, I did not paint, I did not sketch. I had my sketchbook with me, very good one. I did not do anything. I was not an artist the whole week. Such a strange feeling. No pressure at all. Maybe that's why I started noticing things. Maybe that's why I started, I don't know, falling in love with this new to me color, this Falu Red. Yes, for the whole week, I was not a painter. But I started seeing things even deeper, even better as a painter. So strange, really. I do not understand how it's happening, but it is happening and it's possible. Do you want to try it? My next impression was also in Stockholm. We went for lunch. And this restaurant is in the Swedish art house. An art house is like art painters union. Okay, so they have their own restaurant, and yeah, I was sitting there, and I had some kind of traditional Swedish food, like some kind of like frikadelle or cutlet, I don't know how you call it, served on potato puree with some beans and beautiful. I loved it. But it was not just about the food, not at all. The whole atmosphere is very bohemian. It's very, seriously, paintings on the walls. And there is a story that, and I think it's true, that back then, I don't know when, but back then, painters would go to this restaurant, they would eat it. If they would not have money, they would pay with their paintings. That's why you see so many paintings on the walls, and old and new and everything. And and there were some people eating in a restaurant. I was like, maybe they're painters too, you know? I should take this off, you know? I don't know if the sound is there. And I was thinking, maybe they're painters too. Yeah, and I'm like, what if I'm poor? What if I'm poor? What if I lived in Stockholm? What if I'm poor and I cannot pay for my food? Would I bring my paintings as payment for dinner? And what painting would I bring? You know? So it was a great experience. And you know, when I was eating and I was looking at all that art, I was kind of thinking, you know what? In Sweden, they actually serve you art with food. How cool is this? Really? It's pretty cool. I love it. I loved it. One more very strong impression that I had in Sweden was this Habo Kirka, Habo church. From the outside, very simple church, also Swedish Red, Falu Red. When you enter, I didn't know what to think because it was so colorful. It was too much. You know, some people call it beautiful, and it is, you know, strangely beautiful. Not to my taste, but, you know, and it was 17th century. I believe it's 17th, no, it's 18th century, 1740 something. And on the wall, it's all wood inside as well, and it's all painted, all biblical stories. You can find them on the walls. It's like biblical Netflix. You know, when I was walking around the church, I was looking at all that beauty, and it's all wood. And the walls are made out of, how you call them, the wooden boards, right? The long boards. Yeah. How did they paint it? Did they paint it on the ground and then, you know, nailed it to the wall? I don't know, but it was, yeah, still very. And there is one more interesting thing. That's the altar, and it's a clock. Well, with Jesus on a cross and then Jesus resurrected. But the clock has only one clock hand. What I found more interesting, that the time divides Jesus on a cross and Jesus resurrected. This was, yeah, It was strange to see two Jesuses. It was very impressive. The clock still works, it functions, and the little boy above the clock plays the drums when the next hour is on. 280 years old clock, and 280, that's something totally, it was a new thought to me. I've seen all those paintings in Florence and everywhere, Baroque and Renaissance, but when you stand in that little church with all those, and this church is much younger than Baroque and Renaissance, but still in that church, I had that, I don't know, this strange feeling of time. You see, Sweden didn't have Baroque the way we understand it. There was no Italian Baroque in Sweden. The same in Norway or in Finland, but what you see in that church is also Baroque because it comes from the same, almost the same time, but it was Swedish Folk Baroque or Swedish Peasant Baroque. That was the first time I've seen something like this. That's why it impressed me, really. Yeah. So my next impression was in Bünn. It's a little village. Nothing special, really, but it's so beautiful, amazingly beautiful. Again, a lot of red buildings. And one interesting thing about that village is that very famous Swedish painter visited that region a lot, that place, that Bünn village. His name is John Bauer. You probably never heard this name, neither have I, but you probably know the Swedish trolls. So John Bauer is exactly the painter who, he didn't invent them, he painted them. He was the first one. Just because of John Bauer, we all know the trolls the way they look now. It was all because of him. So we went there and stayed in this little hotel just because John Bauer visited that place so often. And he was inspired by the woods and forests and fields. And you know what? He did not invent those trolls. Well, I might not believe in trolls myself, but he did not invent them. He has seen them between the trees, between the branches. And, you know, it's, again, I keep saying it every time, that you just have to open your eyes and you will notice things. So this is, and I think he had this some kind of unique ability to see trolls. Why not? You know, and yes, I was hoping to see original works by John Bauer in that little hotel, and I asked the waiter if they had something. Yes, she said, and she was so happy, and she showed me the how you call it, the fresco on the wall, and I'm like, oh yes, it's John. I'm like, wow, it's an original, it's a fresco, how surprisingly cool, you know. But and she's like, no, it's inspired by John Bauer. So I have not seen his originals. They all, well, most of them are stored in a museum in a city nearby, so we didn't go there. And I will say one thing, and I hope you understand what I mean. If you don't, drop me a comment, I will explain myself better in a comment. But I think Sweden didn't have to invent art, because it didn't have to invent color, because color was always in Sweden. That Falu Red, that earthy, you know, copper, iron, ochre, you know, it was all in Sweden. Sweden painted itself with its color, you know, and John Bauer didn't have to invent trolls. He had to just open the eyes and trolls were there. That's Sweden to me. That's Sweden to me. And please tell me if you've experienced something like that when you travel to a country or to a different city, to a nearby village, and you suddenly realize something, wow, something about art, you know, not about technology, or, you know, that, wow, people in that village or in that city, in that country, they use different materials, they use different colors maybe, and they don't have to invent it. They just have to open their eyes and they will see what they have right under their feet, basically, literally. Yeah. So yeah, I went to Sweden to see only one painting, Midsummer Dance by Anders Zorn. I did not see it because they put it away. Instead, Sweden showed me one color that it literally dug out from itself and, you know, and painted itself with this color. I stayed there only 7 days, only 1 week, but this country is so generous on giving you color. It's just amazing. Just like Sweden, all of us artists, we have something. Like Sweden had that and still has that Falu Red. We do have something. Each one of us, we have it. We just have to, I don't know, learn to notice it. Will we ever notice it? Will we ever learn to notice it? Is it possible? I think it is. You see, I like talking and I talk too much, especially when I'm back from Sweden and in a rainy Amsterdam. But it's always to have a conversation. So I want to hear your voice. Drop me a line. I answer all comments. Right now, I'll be sitting down and answering all comments I didn't answer while I was traveling. Yeah. Thank you for being with me. I'm Dimitri, a figurative artist in Amsterdam, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay? Ciao, ciao. No painting, no drawing for the whole week? Do you want to try it too? This is the strangest advice a painter can give.